project about plants having feelings. For 7 days, one plant I yelled at, another plant I talked nicely to, one plant I did nothing to, and another plant I played music to. And each day I graphed the height and what the plant looks like. So I would find out how each one had grown or shrunk. My results were, so the positive plant grew a bit less than I thought it would. The angry plant totally wilted. The music plant only grew on one side of the pot, which was weird. And the control plant was a totally normal plant, pretty much. The nice words only grew a bit. And I think overall the music plant shrunk. And I think that's because I only played a little nice music and a lot of music that was yelling at it. And I found out that Charles Darwin was very interested in the subject of plants having a nervous system. And he did an experiment having his son play the bassoon for seeds, but the results had no actual answers. And that's my project about plants having feelings.
So I did, is there life on other planets? And first, to have life, you need the right temperature, so it can't be too hot or too cold. There needs to be water, and you need to have energy sources like sunlight. You need an atmosphere, and you need to make sure that there's nothing like radiation that'll make it's harmful to you. And these are a few of the planets that might have life on them. And this is a picture of one of them and some information about it. And according to NASA, there might be different color plants on other planets, and the creatures could be similar or different to Earth creatures. And the company SpaceX is going to be colonizing Mars, and its first mission is going to be in 2022, and they're going to put the resources and the life support infrastructure. The second mission will have cargo and crew, and they're going to build a space colony, and here's a picture of what a Mars space colony might look like.
Our science project is on composting. Composting is food scraps and yard waste mixed together to make amazing soil. Composting is important for the environment because if you don't compost food scraps and waste in your yard, then it goes in landfills. Waste from the compost is packed up, and food scraps need oxygen to breathe. In the landfills, they can't breathe, so methane gas appears. It hurts the ozone layer in our world and can damage it. So, how to make composting is layers of brown and green. So what we did was twigs, grass, dry leaves, and vegetables. And so you should never put meat and bones in your compost because it can wreck. Animals can get into it. It can smell very bad. And you always want to keep the compost moist, so you put water in it. And every single day you want to open, if you have a bucket, but a heap can work too. You open the bucket on the top and give it oxygen so it can breathe. And also it can help the environment because if you don't compost, it can cause global warming that can hurt animals' homes and can hurt you. This is our science project. Thank you.
The capacitor cars is all about how the capacitor charges the motor into working. So The electric charge is a property of matter which is described in relative to magnetism that a charged body exhibits as a forcing acting upon it when placed in a magnetic field. So it's like when electric charge is a property of matter, as you know. So it's like act like a magnetic field on a nail box. Like when you put it on it, it's like the magnetic fields, you can actually see them. It's like the force acting upon it when a magnet is placed. So it's when by rubbing two different materials, we can store the charge called static charge. So static electricity, it's like you can rub a balloon on your hair and then your hair will just stand up at one end. And then when the body storing electric charge is touched with a conductor is like when something that lets the electric charge go through it. A conductor, the charge starts flowing. This process of flow of charge is called electric current. So the current flows from the battery to all these wires, which is connected to the switch, and then one side is activates the circuit towards the capacitor, and then when the capacitor is charged, then you do it on the other side to make the motor circuit complete. So here are the fun facts. The lightning on a rainy day is also electricity. This type of electricity is called static electricity. So it's like clouds rubbing upon each other to make static electricity. If lightning strikes on ground, that means the ground was opposite charge of the charge. So say the clouds are the positive charge and the grounds are the negative charge. So both of them will make a force and then make lightning strike. That means the ground was opposite charge in the clouds. In winters, if you're wearing rubber shoes to run on a carpet, you will also accumulate charge over your body called static electricity. So when you rub your feet against a carpet, you're picking up electrons from the carpet. So afterwards, when you touch a metal surface, you will feel a spark. So as you normally do feel after you walk on a carpet.
So physical and chemical properties and changes. So what is a physical property? A physical property describes the color, shape, and hardness of matter. Physical properties can be detected by your senses: color, shape, taste, touch, and smell. Some examples are color, taste, size, shape, smell, and changes of state or matter. All matter has physical properties. So what is a chemical property? A chemical property is a characteristics of a substance that allows it to change into a new substance. The chemical properties of a material often require a warning about its careful use. Examples: the ability to burn, toxicity. When a bike is left out in the rain, it begins to rust because it reacts with oxygen in the air. Acids would also be considered a chemical property. What is a physical change? A physical change is a change in size, shape, or form. When a state of matter has changed into a different form of matter, it has underwent a physical change. Some examples are a popsicle melting, cutting a watermelon, liquid metal cooling down, and erosion. And a chemical change. The change of materials into new or other materials with different physical and chemical properties. During a chemical change, a chemical reaction occurs and new matter forms. So some examples are an apple starting to rot. When you mix vinegar with baking soda, gas evolves, and digestion. So I did 2 experiments right here. So cutting a fruit experiment would be considered a physical change, and apple rotting experiment would be considered a chemical change.
Hi, this is our science project, and we're learning about circuits. This is our experiment, which Michael will tell you about.
Wow. Okay, so our experiment is really
we add something from the circuit builder, which we have a launcher, a plastic saucer, some connectors, a button and a switch to power the launcher, and some batteries. So when you push the button down, okay guys, get ready to get it because it will launch up in the air. And then the same thing happens when you use the switch too. And then you will tell about parallel circuits.
There are two different types of circuits which we both use in our experiment. The first type is parallel. A parallel circuit is when a circuit is a circuit that when one light goes out, the rest don't go out, because the flow of the current is distributed to different branches. So when the path is broken, the electricity can still continuously flow. And Ty will tell you about series circuits.
A series circuit is a circuit with a single path for currents, which means that if one light goes out, the rest go out because the flow of the current is connected to one branch. And Michael will tell you the conclusion.
So in conclusion, what we learned from our experiments is that there are many different types of circuits, such as parallel circuits and series circuits. We see these circuits used in our daily lives, such as Christmas lights as a series circuit, also house lights as a parallel circuit, as well as our experiment, which is a series circuit and a parallel circuit. There are so many circuits around us, and our project helped us realize that. Hope you enjoyed our project about circuits and learned something new.
All right, so my topic is gravity, and it's a natural occurrence by which all things by mass are brought toward Earth. And the person who discovered gravity is Sir Isaac Newton. But before him, Galileo discovered it, but he just touched upon it, and Sir Isaac Newton really gave the laws of motions and stuff. So Newton's first law was an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and a moving object tends to keep moving until it's affected by a force. So that really means if you touched a basketball and it went down a ramp, it would keep on going because inertia would keep it moving. But if you stopped it with your hand, it would be stopped because a force is stopping it. And Newton's second law really touches upon if you would go to a different planet, your gravity would always change, and your mass wouldn't change unless you'd cut off a body part, and stuff like that. And Newton's third law is even if you pushed off a wall, opposite or equal unbalanced force is coming back at you, and yeah. And an example is if you stepped into quicksand and you would fall down because your forces are unbalanced because if they were balanced, nothing would have been moving.
All right, so I did my project on the Big Bang Theory, and basically it's the theory that everything in the universe, it started in one point and then expanded outwards, and everything in the universe is still expanding today, and galaxies are getting farther and farther away from each other. And I also learned a little bit about how scientists think the world is going to end, which basically everything will just stop because all the energy in the universe will be evenly distributed, and so nothing will be able to basically happen anymore. And that's mostly what I learned about for my project. But.
What was the most exciting thing you found out?
Honestly, it was most of it because I didn't know anything about any of this before I chose to do this project. But I liked what I found. Something I found really interesting was that the first person to think kind of scientifically about how the universe began was a Catholic priest, which is really weird to me.
So I did my project on AC and DC currents. So an DC is a straight current, it's direct, and an alternating current is where it changes direction, and that happens when the magnet turns half a rotation, when the north and south switch sides. The current from a battery is DC, it goes in one direction. So if I were to on this motor, the fan would be in one direction, and same thing for the light, where the light would stay in one direction and not flicker. But if I were to turn the generator, the light would flicker back and forth because the current changes directions every half turn, and the motor would flicker from back and forth because of every half turn. So the generator was an old second grade project, and we found it in our basement, and we kind of elaborated on it. So I think that was really cool, this project.
So this is an example of capillary action, and it works because the water travels in an upward motion, and it's like water traveling through a tree roots and up to the top of the tree. And the reason why the empty cup becomes full is because the paper towels and the other paper products that are like made from fibers found in plants, and so it does that because it absorbs the moisture, and then it brings the color into the next cup, so that way it fills up and it becomes that. So the red and the yellow will mix together to make orange. The yellow and the blue will mix to make green. The blue and the red will mix to make purple, so it will look like this in a day or two, and this is when we first did it before anyone came. So this is how it will be when you first start.
My project's about what caused the whale to become a whale. First off, I state that the whale is an ancestor of the hippo and used to be an animal on legs. The animal would look something like this. Over time, natural selection took place, and the animal grew bigger, and the back legs disappeared, and what we got is only flippers. So this is what I state the whale evolved. I say that the hippo and the whale ancestor, because hippos are the closest relatives of the whales, the ancestor had moved downstream into the ocean because of food loss. It has to gain more food and competition against predators, but mainly the food. And so the whale had to face many challenges as it moved into the ocean. The amounts of fat developed as they moved north and south. Because it's very cold, the only way they could survive is off of fat. And that led to our modern whale.
So we have a fidget spinner here that is on a motor here, and so when you spin it, you generate electricity. Parv, can you hold that up? Yeah. So you can see as it's going through the regulator right now, it's kind of turning on that light, but it's not enough to really charge the phone. It kind of passes through this yellow cord, which goes into the circuit board, which goes into the capacitor, which stores some of the energy, so to kind of make the current a little bit more steady, which then goes into the regulator and into the phone. And on the green wire, it passes to the rectifier, which only allows a positive current to pass into the circuit board, which then goes to the regulator, which only allows 5 volts to pass so that you don't really blow up your phone, and into the phone. But it's kind of too small to really charge it, because you would need 1 watt to charge the phone successfully. Also, there's not a steady enough current. Like, you would need a steady 5 volts to really charge the phone.
And the benefits of charging a mobile device can help save you money by reducing electricity usage by creating free energy. Plus, if it is widely used enough, it could
limit the pollution made by electricity being produced by coal, natural gas, and nuclear power sources.
So nowadays, fidget spinners have become more and more common. So we decided to put them to use by thinking about electricity. So that it could reduce energy costs.
So the problem in the world is that over 1.5 billion people don't have access to clean water. So I made a water filter that would filter dirty water, would turn it into clear water. So I took charcoal and I crushed it up, put it on the bottom. I took sand, put it on top of the charcoal, and then I put rocks and put it on top of the sand. Then I poured my dirty water in, and it turned to clean water.
My project is about the pH scale. I used my teacher's plants. I grabbed some of his water to show a demonstration. So every day for the past few weeks, I've been testing the pH level. I put some drops of pH level indicator into it, and depending on what color it changes, it tells me what the pH level is. So I can tell. And then when we put some fresh water into the into the plant water, and then it lowered the pH down, and so we got a lower pH, but it was getting really high, and it liked it at 6 to 6.5.
I made a spin art machine, but I didn't make it all about the spin art. I made more of the theme about resistors. So I got this, it came in a kit that I get in the mail every month called KiwiCo. So that's where I got the directions and all the materials. And pretty much the whole thing that I learned about it are resistors, which are these. Resistors, they are passive electronics that are designed to resist the flow of currents, which means that they pretty much slow down the electrical current. I do have an example to show this. Right here. So imagine you have a stream in your backyard. Imagine the water as the electrical current and the rocks as resistors. So when you put one rock in, as you can see, only some of the water is still flowing through, and it kind of stops the stream. When you put another rock in, though, it completely stops the current from moving. So that's kind of what resistors do. They stop the current from flowing.
So this is Roberto, the recycling robot, and he pretty much just brings the cans to the recycle area. So got one, and then you have to close the gripper. Standard gripper kit at Acro Robotics, so anybody wants to buy one themselves. And then this is the Viper Combat Kit, the Roberto himself. Knock one over. But yeah, so he just goes around, and on my thing it shows this long story of Roberto as wanting to save the environment, because when he was first brought to life, he wanted to he saw pollution, and he didn't like the whole idea because he thought it was parts of his brothers and sisters. So he doesn't want any other robots to have the same experience and have the same, not understanding as he does. So his whole life now, he's been trying to embrace putting together his, stuff. But one thing that I really wish he could do is, so the gripper is together, stuck at one point, so you can't, on a hinge, can't put it up and down. But if that's one improvement that I would like to make a motor so that it could tilt up, tilt down.
So basically what we did is we fit Earth's life history of 4.5 billion years into the 400 meters on the track. And we were really surprised to find that the humans weren't 6 millimeters right before the end compared to the entire track.
What made you decide to do this project?
We were really interested in like the clock videos, how we only came in like 2 minutes from midnight, so we decided to do it on the track.
And you said something about a clock video? What was that about?
The 4.5 billion years in 24 hours video that our science teacher showed us. Yeah.
Who's your science teacher?
Mrs. Bonner.
She's really awesome.
I heard, yeah. Yeah.